18th of December, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi, Miketz. No, Miketz, not. Vayeshev.
Finally,
Hi, Rabbi, how are you?
Baruch Hashem. Took me about at least 7 minutes to get in.
Yeah, I don't know why you're having so much trouble unless it's your filter.
I don't know, whatever, but sometimes every so often, after Windows does an update, and if then Zoom does an update, then that's what happens. Anyway, okay. Pasuk, we up to Pasuk 9, Pasuk Tes.
Pasuk Tes. Let's see. Let's see. Vayachalom od chalom acher vayesaper oso le'echav vayomer hine chalamti chalom od v'hine hashemesh v'hayareach v'achad asar kochavim mish tachavim li. So let's see. He dreamed again another dream, and he related it to his brothers. And he said, "Look, I have dreamed another dream. And behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing to me."
Bowing down to me, prostrating themselves.
I'm sorry, say again, please.
Bowing down or prostrating themselves.
Right.
It wasn't just a curtsy, as they say, right? It was actually flat out. That's what nishtachavos means, to lie totally flat. Okay. By the way, just a very important point I wanted to point out. We both in this dream and in the previous dream, where he says we were gathering sheaves, and Yosef only says over the dream. He doesn't in any way interpret the dream. He leaves the interpretation of the dream to his brothers or his father.
Right.
It's an interesting point, because the Maisa, the Gemara, is in the last parak of Brachas. The Gemara speaks at length about different dreams and everything. Basically, the Gemara's conclusion is Hakol holech acha pisrei. Everything goes after the interpretation.
Right.
So the point was that Yosef was, I'm not saying it like he wasn't doing it facetiously. He's saying, listen, I had this dream. You tell me what it means. I'm not going to interpret it. You tell me what it means. And if you're going to interpret it, that's what the brothers interpret it. in Pasuk Ches. Do you think you're going to become make yourself a king over us? You think you're going to rule over us? And now in this pasuk also Yosef doesn't say anything. So let's do the next pasuk. There's no Rashi on Tes. Let's do pasuk Yud.
I just wanted to make a comment that you said that he didn't interpret them. So it seems a little bit odd to me that in pasuk the next pasuk we're going to read, it says his father scolded him. Why is he scolding him? He didn't interpret. He didn't say what it meant. He didn't say. All he did was say, "I had a dream, and here's what it was." Why is he being scolded?
Because Yaakov Avinu obviously realized not necessarily what Yosef was implying. He's saying, you think there's substance to this dream of yours, meaning that your mother and your brothers are going to come bow down to you. Because that's why you're telling it over. Somebody has a dream, Echveis. He went to a baseball match and he dreamt he was there on the home plate, and he hit a grand slam home run, right? Okay, he may tell his friends on the thing, but he's not going to see any prophecy in it. It's fanciful dreaming.
So you're saying even though he didn't interpret it, his father assumed that he was interpreting it?
It wasn't his father, but he was obviously telling over the dream that it had some prophetic meaning to it.
And that was a wrong thing for him to do.
Well, that's exactly what his father was chiding him about.
Okay. So pasuk Yud. Vayeshev el aviv ve'el echav vayigar bo aviv vayomer lo ma hachalom hazeh asher chalamta havo navo ani ve'imcha va'achecha lehish tachavos lecha artza. So it says, and he related it to his father and to his brothers. And his father scolded him. And he said to him, what is this dream that you have dreamt? Are we to come, I and your mother and your brothers, to bow down to you to the ground? So another question, why is Yaakov saying your mother? His mother is not alive.
Oh, this is exactly what Rashi is going to point out. And this is what Rashi is going to explain, that this is exactly the point which Yaakov's going to illustrate. He says, you would think there's some meaning to your dream. It can't be any meaning to your dream because you said you and your mother's going to come bow down to you. And your mother's no longer alive. Your dream is just fantasy. That's what the Chayra seems to be indicating. We'll see. Rashi's going to dwell on this.
Vayisaper el aviv ve'el echav le'achar she-siper oso le'echav. After he had related it to his brothers, Chazar v'sipro le'achiv. He repeated it and related it to his father, bifnehem, in their presence.
Right, in the front of his brothers.
Vayigar bo, his father scolded him. Lefi shehaya meitil sin'ah alav, because he bred hatred against himself.
Right.
So, in other words, his father is not upset about the implications of the dream. He's only upset that Joseph shouldn't have told it to his brothers because it would make them hate him.
Exactly.
Avo navo
Avo
v'halo imcha kavar mesa. But is it not that your mother has already died?
Right. Hasn't your mother already died? And Mela, what are you telling me dreams about? I and your mother and your brothers are going to come to bow down to you. Okay? That's what you're implying in the dream. Right? The sun and the moon and the 11 stars. Okay? So Elamai, your dreams are just fantasy.
That seems to contradict what we just said on the previous part. Where
okay, we'll continue.
He's
Let's
not
see
the dream itself, just that the hatred. So why is he criticizing the dream?
Okay. But we're going to see this also in connection with the Rashi on the next pasuk as well.
V'hu lo haya yodea. But Yaakov did not know shehadevarim, that the words magi'in levilcha applied to Bilhah. Shegid laso che'imo, who raised Yosef like his mother. Rabosenu lamdu mikan, and our rabbis learned from here, she'ein chalom, that there is no dream below divarim b'telim, without some senseless matters in it. That seems funny because he just explained that it wasn't senseless, that it was referring to Bilhah.
Right. So let me point out that there's a difference between the type of dreams. Okay?
Right.
So I'll explain in a minute. That Lamaisa, it was a fully fledged prophetic. In truth, it was a fully fledged prophetic dream. And when it says your mother, the moon, was not referring to Yosef's mother, Rachel, because she was no longer alive. It was referring to Bilhah. However, Yaakov understood that even though it may be a prophetic dream, there is some element of, always some element of, should we say, extra information put in the dream, which may be purely fantasy. Okay? Now, so therefore, that's exactly what this part of Rashi is telling us. Right? Our rabbis learned out from here that even though a chaloi may have a prophetic content in it, but there's always some, how should you say, how do you specify drive b'teilim? How do I say? You translate it. Irrelevant information, as in this case over here, right? Yaakov knew that. But Yaakov niskaven lahotzi adovo mileiv banov shelo yakniu. But Yaakov was aware, it could well be that the imecha part, right, the moon part, was irrelevant information and misleading information because it wasn't true. But that did not preclude the fact that the rest of the dream was indeed prophetic.
Right.
So therefore, Yaakov, who was aware of that, he even though he thought that Taka, it's referring to Rachel and not to Bilhah, okay? But even though Yaakov did not dismiss the dream as a result, because there's always some element of irrelevant information or misleading information in any given dream, even if it is prophetic. So why did he say now, oh, just ignore the whole dream, it's a load of fantasy? Because he won that. That's what Rashi is saying now. That Yaakov told the brothers, told Yosef, sorry, when he chided, he rebuked Yosef, and he said to him, what is this dream you've dreamt? Are we, I and your mother and your brothers are going to come bowing down to you? It's not sure that your mother's going to come bowing down to you, so therefore the rest of the dream is also fantasy. There's no substance to it. But what in essence Be'etzem Yaakov really understood for himself is that it could well be there's prophetic, there's a prophetic element to this dream. He said that the moon is going to come bowing down to him, which sounds like his mother's going to come down to bang down. That's the irrelevant information, the misleading information, which cannot be true. But that doesn't preclude that the rest of the dream is, yes, true. And it is indeed, yes, prophetic. So that's what Yaakov understood for himself. And therefore, that's why in the next pasuk it says that his brothers were jealous, but his father waited to see what would happen. How do I translate that? Yeah. But his father waited to see the outcome of the matter. Okay, so that's the how should we say? Ostensibly, in actual fact, the dream was fully prophetic. Every single aspect of the dream was true. Yaakov did not understand it that way, but nevertheless, he was not deterred by the fact that a particular aspect of the dream would not be true, because the rest of the dream could be true. But he told over to the brothers, or he told Yosef in front of the brothers, he says, this dream of yours is total fantasy, and I'll prove it to you. How can your mother come and bow down to you? So therefore, the whole dream is total waste of time.
So, okay. What about the principle that the meaning of the dream follows the interpretation?
So obviously, his father. Put it this way: the way I understood it. Maybe it sounds a little bit funny the way I'm going to put it, but note, the first time he told them a dream, the brothers told him over their interpretation. Okay, so Yosef says to them, listen, you interpret it this way. I didn't. It's your interpretation. Okay, so the second time he told them the dream, the brothers were careful. They didn't say anything. They didn't say any interpretation. But they said, you got to stop having these dreams, because these dreams, your implication is very clear, and we're not going to say anything. But I want you to tell it over to our father. What do you think he thinks about it? And lo and behold, he also said an interpretation of the dream. So this way, if the brothers had tried to avoid any interpretation of the dream being spoken out, they were rather disappointed when Yaakov himself spoke out an interpretation.
What I'm saying, Yaakov interpreted it to be nonsense. So therefore, why doesn't his interpretation nullify the dream?
Because it wasn't nonsense.
But I'm asking you, the principle that it follows the interpretation My understanding is that says, however the interpreter interprets it, that's what it means.
Yeah, so listen to myself. Like, give me my my baseball example, right? So a little 10-year-old kid comes to you, the grandson comes to you. I don't think he's going to do that in my sense because Baruch Hashem he's in Eretz Yisrael. But anyway, let's say he comes to you and he says to you, says, Saba, I'm going to be a top baseball player. He says, you know why? I had this dream, and he tells you over the whole dream. Like he's on the home plate, Yankee Stadium, all the crowd cheering his name, and he's there, and he does a grand slam home run in the final innings. Okay, so so then he says, "Wow," he says, "You think you're going to be a top baseball player?" That's what you say to him, and it indeed happens that way, right? Turns out to be that. So had you, even though your interpretation of the dream wasn't said in seriousness that, that's a tremendous dream, but it was just said in maybe even in jest, but it's certainly not in serious belief, but that in itself could be enough of an interpretation to make the dream come true.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So
Yaakov's saying, are we going to come and do this? But he actually said that this is the interpretation of the dream, that I and your mother and your 11 brothers are going to come bowing down to you. Even though he's saying that cannot be, right? But he is interpreting that's the meaning of what you have just dreamt.
I see. Okay. I hear you.
Okay, let's go on to the next pasuk.
All right, good Aleph. Let's see. Vayikan u vo echav aviv shamar es hadavarav. Hadavar. His brothers were jealous of him, but his father Shamar, he guarded the matter.
Yeah, but Rashi is going to explain slightly different. Okay, so you're learning Shamar has to be an expression of guarded.
Right, from the word shomer.
Yeah, but we'll see. Rashi says it means it has a different interpretation here.
Okay, Rashi says Shamar es hadavar haya mamtin. He was waiting, umitzapeh, and looking forward, anticipating,
yeah.
Masai Yavo, when it would come true. V'chein shomer munim. Similarly to the word shomer in the phrase awaiting fulfillment of God's promise.
Right.
V'chein lo sishmor al chatasi. And similarly, lo sishmor in lo sishmor, for my sin, meaning lo samtin, do not wait.
Right. It means you don't give me time, you do not wait to punish my sins, you punish me immediately.
Okay, so Rashi is basically saying that in this context, the word shomer means to wait.
Right.
His father.
That's why I translated.
That's what my English
says. Waited to see the outcome of the matter.
His father waited. Okay, right. So interesting. Okay. All right. Is that enough for today?
Yeah, I guess so. Okay. Fine. Be'ez Hashem, then tomorrow again. Be'ez Hashem.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a great day.
Okay.